Hello, this is Ed Chapman, and this video cast is going to be a review of macromolecules and organic chemistry in general. We're going to try to pull it all together. The first part you need to review very carefully is the importance of carbon in organic chemistry. Remember, carbon will form 4 covalent bonds because of its valence electrons, so it has 4 openings by which it can attach itself to other things. And when carbon attaches to other carbons, it forms what we call a backbone. And this is the basis for the huge variety of molecules that are present in organic chemistry. Now, usually carbons are hooked to 3 or 4 other hydrogens. Of course, the simplest hydrocarbon is methane, CH4, but carbons can also be attached to just about anything else. And there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different functional groups that you can attach to carbons that you need to review. I would suggest you look through previous video casts or review in your text. These functional groups, sometimes they're referred to as chemical groups. Okay, so make sure you know all the different things that can attach to carbons in this anywhere along its chain. These functional groups are chemical groups. Things like carboxyl groups and phosphate groups and methyl groups and carbonyl groups, all those things that we talked about earlier. Okay, the next thing, there are macromolecules in organic chemistry, and macromolecules are almost always polymers, which means they're made up of repeating monomers that are very similar to each other. There are 4 different types of macromolecules that are important in biology. The first one we talked about were carbohydrates. Okay, the second group was lipids. The third group was nucleic acids. And we saved the best for last, proteins. And each one of these groups of macromolecules have their own properties and uses in living cells. Very important that you review these. The most important thing to remember is the monomers that are used to build each of these. Okay, the idea of monomers and polymers. Monomers, of course, are building blocks that you string together to build larger structures. And these larger structures are called polymers. And the 2 most important groups of polymers that we taught, well, the 3 most important groups were the carbohydrates, the proteins, and the nucleic acids. Now, to understand polymers, you have to understand the monomers that go together to build them. So if this polymer is a carbohydrate, then that means its monomers, each little individual subunit, is what we call a simple sugar. And simple sugars, the most important 2 to know are glucose and fructose. Okay, if these monomers are nucleotides, okay, then what we're building are DNA or RNA, which are nucleic acids. If these monomers are what's the other group? Amino acids. Okay, amino acids are the monomers that build proteins. Okay, so we've got amino acids, nucleotides, and simple sugars. Those are the 3 most important monomers that we talked about. And just to kind of round this out, don't forget that lipids are made up of a glycerol molecule with fatty acid chains attached. Not a true polymer in the sense that it's repeating subunits hooked together like a train or something, but they do have those linkages produced by dehydration synthesis. So we can kind of throw them in the category of macromolecules here, although they're not true polymers. Okay, major roles in biology for these macromolecules. Please, please, please remember that carbohydrates, or carbs, are primarily used for energy, or a quick energy, or long-term energy, or energy storage, and they're also used for structure, for building things. Okay? Lipids, 2 important roles for lipids. Long-term energy storage, much denser energy concentration in lipids than in carbohydrates. And lipids are also used for structure. Okay, in the case of phospholipids with cell membranes and things like that. And lipids also go into building steroid-based hormones. Nucleic acids, okay, are all about information. Okay, the transmission and use of genetic information in the case of DNA and RNA. And finally, proteins, probably the most diverse of all the groups. They have lots of different functions. Things like structure, proteins are used to build body parts, enzymes. Remember, enzymes are organic catalysts that speed up chemical reactions, but don't become a part of the chemical reactions on their own. And the list goes on and on and on. Please, please, please review these things. So we have the 4 major groups, and you need to understand how they're used in biology. That ends this video cast, and thanks for your attention.